Hey everyone, Cavell here at Yarmouth Connected, and this is the day, folks. I am super excited to be doing this podcast with none other than Stephanie D'Entremont, who is the author of Confessions of a Confident ADHD Mind, The Colorful Truth. Love this book, Stephanie. Love your energy. And how are you doing today?
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay.
You?
I am well, and I am very excited to talk to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you too. I love that we are putting our face to face together and not
Yes.
just texting.
Faces,
I'm like, who
yeah.
is this person? I
It's
love it.
not so scary after all.
No, it's not. It's not so scary.
No, I love this topic, and I love your journey, and I love how conversational you are in the book. Like, I feel like I hear you when I'm reading it,
I
right?
love that.
Yeah,
That is the best, like, supercharged feeling ever. It's like I hear you when I'm reading. It's like you're in my living room, and I'm like, yes.
yeah, no, your energy comes through loud and clear. I love it. At times I was like, whew, I gotta take a little breather because the energy is
Right?
definitely there, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's really
I
nice.
love it.
So
Thank you.
you're very welcome. I marked up your book and made some keynotes. I've got things folded here, marked, highlighted,
Yes.
and I wanted to kind of jump to more of the middle of the book on the day that you were diagnosed with ADHD. And
Mhm.
one of the confessions that you make, in which there are many, and I love the fact that you're willing to confess things, make it relatable. Um,
Definitely.
but one of your confessions was, I was scared of being right and scared of being wrong. And I relate to that on a very personal level. We talked earlier. I made my own confession that I have bipolar disorder. And it's one of those things where you just want the answers, but you don't want the answer that you're pretty sure what it
It's like, no.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, you want to know, but you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but in this case, what ultimately brought you to the place where you were like, okay, I can't do this. I need the answer now. I need to know what's going on
Yeah.
here.
It's so strange because you go about your day, and your day is it's pretty motherly, like, you're doing your thing, and you watch your children, you kind of absorb and observe them, and you see them, they're with you like
Mhm.
24/7. No, not really, they're in school as
Pretty
well.
close.
So pretty close, so they're half with you in school and half with you and half with you in school. So I was getting always like lots of feedback from teachers, bless them. When it came parent teacher, it was always like, yeah, she's a little daydreamy, and she likes to chat a lot and likes to interrupt, and not really organized and not really finishing her work and doesn't really know how to start thing. I'm like, yeah, yeah, really? Okay, yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, she's trying to find herself. And you're like, okay, I don't know. Like, I don't know, right?
Right.
And it just kept on being the same thing over and over again. And I was like, okay, all right, well, she's not doing any harm, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
So
it
it's like just being herself. And then one fine day, like she took dance, and she loved dancing because she's so creative and just loves freedom of expression.
mhm.
And and when we were there thinking it was a lovely dance practice, we kind of got pulled aside just privately, with the dance teacher and another lovely lady. And I was like, oh, what's this all about? Oh,
Yeah, you're like,
another
oh
another
no.
something? What's going on?
You're like,
So
okay, just give it to me
yeah, like,
straight.
more? Is there
Mhm.
more? And
Yeah.
it just kept on, like, as a mom, you do feel things. As an empathetic person, holy moly, you feel things. And I'm
Yeah.
just all feeling things. So it's like, okay, what is this thing? So she's so graciously, like, bless her, and I'm so grateful. She's just
Mhm.
kind of pulled us aside and just started a little conversation. And she's like, do you know that ADHD is hereditary? And I'm like, with who? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, and
Yeah.
talking like about to my daughter, like, to hereditary. Like, what?
What are you
Okay,
trying to
thank you.
say?
Newsflash. So then I'm like, I get home and I'm like
Mhm,
Googling. I'm like, is ADHD hereditary? What's going on? And like DNA and wiring, and kind
mhm.
of went all hyper focused. And I'm like, oh, so all these little bits of kind of like puzzle pieces were kind of like floating around in my head, like many other thoughts that I
Mhm.
thought being creative. I'm like, oh, it's creative. It's creative.
Yeah,
No,
creative
no,
minds,
it was
right?
a little
But
bit more than that.
yeah.
So all these coups that I was kind of getting were kind of like setting the tone to like, hey, maybe it's time I need to rip off the band-aid and figure something out, and need
Mhm.
to be mama bear. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm the tree and she's the apple. So it is. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, when you Google things, and I mean, I don't advise you Google everything because you can go in a like a,
Oh man,
rabbit hole.
I've convinced
But
myself of many things
right,
by
but it
Google.
was checking off so many things that I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god, that's me, that's me, that's me. Oh, that's so me. and and then I just took it upon myself to take that leap of faith and go on that journey
Mhm.
and get assessed. And I mean, it's not a scary thing.
No.
It's like, it's cathartic. It
Yep.
was such a breath because it was just a conversation. It was a beautiful conversation with a lovely lady. And boy, did I pass that test
You're like, "Yay, I passed.
flying colors.
What do I
I'm like,
win?
aced it.
Where's my gold star?" Um, no, it's
It was, yeah.
I
I can't
imagine,
explain that feeling. Like it just lifted, like the fog lifted. Like we had mom brain and all that jazz,
yeah.
but it was more heavy.
Mhm.
And then the journey began. It's like,
Right, and
who am I? Who
probably
am I?
just kind of hanging there in the background the whole time, just
Yeah,
not being able to
just
put your
doing the
finger on it.
motions.
Yeah.
You're just doing the motions, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. Like my outside, again, me, ha,
Yeah.
was not matching the inside. There was just something off, and
Mhm.
I needed to know because I'm a problem solver. So
Yes,
going in.
I can appreciate that. I'm like a dog with a bone. If I
Yeah,
need to know something, I'm
yeah,
gonna
I'm
find
going,
out.
going
And
in.
yeah, I can totally relate. I know when I got my diagnosis, it was almost like, yeah, like the biggest relief, like you're just like,
I
oh, there's a
know.
name for this. Like,
Oh my gosh,
yes.
it's an explanation.
Yeah, it's and then of course there's the journey of, I imagine, kind of rewiring your brain, right, to
Yeah,
kind of get used to this new
yeah. You're kind of life
discovery.
hacking life.
Yeah. It's but it's good because then you can kind of own what's going on,
Yeah,
um
yeah. You have like the best discovery other than that explanation is finding acceptance.
yeah.
Like that's the only way you're gonna get through this. Like if you're gonna think it's like a nemesis, like always following you,
Mhm.
well, yeah, it's gonna win.
Yeah, and I
Like you
mean,
gotta work with it.
it's not to say that it's going to be all peachy all the time, right? Like
No,
it's
exactly.
not, but
It's
at the
not.
same time, it doesn't have to completely control your life, because to me,
Exactly.
it was controlling my life more before I knew what was going
Not
on,
knowing.
right?
Yeah, because you're
It,
it's so easy, like to take the words of my children. So easy to suck at something. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I suck at that. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna finish that. I don't need to do that. Oh, that's not done. Oh well.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Like you don't suck at that. There's a reason you're not passionate about it. So you don't have that dopamine to keep you fueled to do it. Like
Yeah.
you have to
Well,
life hack that brain.
when I was reading through the book, I will be honest with you, there were things there that I was like, "Ooh, that's eerily accurate." Like there was just certain things, like for example, I relate a lot to, um it's almost like you're stuck in your head, like you want to do the things, like you're not a lazy person, but you can't, like,
Yeah.
get out of
to
your head.
it.
Like I
Yeah,
will sit there and just get anxiety about the thought of doing it, and I could have done it 50 times over, but that,
exactly.
but
Because it's not interesting. It's not
mhm.
passionate. It's laundry. I'm like,
Yeah,
please.
yeah,
Ugh,
I hear you, and you'll just
ugh,
like you
no.
find yourself keeping yourself busy doing anything but
Yeah,
those things, right?
exactly. Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
and
yeah.
truthfully, my husband lives with ADHD actually.
Oh, really?
And so I have a slight inside track. I think it presents maybe a little differently in men than
Yes.
women.
Yeah.
When I read about how it presents in women, I'm like, wow, we're not really focused on women when we talk about ADHD.
No.
It's
We go
always,
under the radar.
the little 10-year-old boy who's, running
Jumping.
around the house or
Yeah.
something. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, there's way more to it than that.
Yeah,
And
definitely. We get underdiagnosed, like, and just
mhm,
later in life, kind of
yeah,
like, oh, whoa, like when, like, you're doing your thing, you're in a career, or you're a mom or whatever, and you're
yeah.
like, where are my car keys? I don't know anymore. Like, it
Oh, the
just, you
car
just,
keys.
you
Oh,
just don't know.
I basically
Car
am the one
keys.
that keeps track of those things. Like when my husband goes to work, I'm like, do you have
Where are
your
your car
keys?
keys?
Do you have the
Yeah.
phone? Do you have the, like, I go through a checklist with
Yes.
him every morning because,
You have to.
yeah,
I have a tile on my car key that I press. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, great.
he has
Or beep, 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 beep,
it.
beep. My phone. Yay. Bless
he
me.
he
Because,
also bought that.
yeah,
He
no,
also at
will
one
not
point in
survive.
time, he also misplaced it at one point. So I was like, well, that didn't work, did it?
Yeah.
But it does come in handy, I will admit.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
Anything
there's things that you can certainly do to help keep things, in
in
check.
check. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah, for
But it is
sure.
it is funny, like when I read this stuff and I'm like, oh, that's totally him. But then I see things that I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of me,
Oh,
actually. Like
wow.
maybe I
I
should go take a
love
look at that.
that. I
Yeah.
love that.
I so let me go through the book because you have confessions that you make, you have quotes that you make, and I, like I said, I was marking up your book like all over the place.
Well, I might need
Um
to get you a new one that's clear and
yes,
and
no,
and not, like a
I
textbook.
I
But I
love
love
my
it.
marked up.
I
It's
love it. I
um
love this.
no, it is great. And so at the beginning, like in the introduction,
Mhm.
one of the first confessions you make is I love learning a lot. And I think we kind of covered the
Like a
fact that, yeah, like
yeah,
you
like a
wanted to
sponge.
know, like
Like I love
getting to the bottom
learning,
of it.
and it's the things that I love learning,
Yeah.
they retain in the brain. It's the
Hmm.
stuff that doesn't, like
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
Not so
Oh, what is
much.
math? I don't know what
What
that.
is math? But math is with you every flipping day.
It is. If it's money math, I'm okay
Oh,
with that.
yes, make it
Uh,
rain. Yeah,
but anything
sure.
that when you start adding letters and stuff, I'm like, no,
Oh,
no, thank you.
no thanks. A
Um,
pass.
I also like what you said here. As you're reading this, I want you to stop feeling apologetic for yourself and use your superpowers for your good. They are not your kryptonite. And
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that because there is, I think you go through kind of stages, almost like stages of grief when you
yeah,
get a diagnosis.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's like a reborn. I
yeah,
honestly felt reborn. I'm
yeah,
like, who am I? I am me now. Like
yeah.
authentic, whole me.
It's
Yeah.
it can be
It's
kind of a
just
mixed bag of feelings because there's the relief, but then there's
yeah.
kind of this feeling of, oh, there's something wrong with me,
Yeah. Or guilt.
yeah.
Guilt.
And
Guilt is so consuming.
mhm.
I still feel guilt. There's still a little bit of guilt, but it's not so heavy on my heart.
Well, from your perspective, yeah, I would imagine because you found out through your daughter, right? So
Yeah.
I guess as
Mm-hmm.
a mom, you would feel like that, yes, guilt responsible, like, oh no, I did
How come?
this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
It's like, oh, did I do
but
this? Oh,
it's and so on that level, I imagine uh the guilt, yeah, weighs on you for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I
And that's
know
kind of the gist of where journaling came in handy. Like
Yeah,
if there's anything that you're struggling with, or if you're just, and I mean, it's a journal, not everyone's going to tell it to the world,
right.
but for any cathartic relief for anyone, I advise you, what's in your head, get it out on paper,
Yeah.
and it's a relief. Like instant. It's like, oh, okay, it's there. Heck, burn it if you don't want to see it again. Burn
Yeah.
that paper. Like
It's just
get it
this
out of your
way of,
head.
yeah, because I mean, I
Uh
I don't know about you, but I already have enough in my head.
huh.
I don't
Exactly.
need extra
Please
stuff.
leave. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I don't need negative Nellies.
yeah.
No,
No,
no.
I just love that your take on it is, and it's not to dismiss, when you're diagnosed and you're going through something like this, it's serious. It's not a,
Everyone is different.
it,
Everyone's wiring is different at different
yeah,
intervals. And I call it layers and not
yeah,
labels, because
I
that's a
like that.
no. And it is colorful. There's so many different layers and volume to colors. So
Hmm.
same goes with this diagnosis. There's so many different intervals, and it's not to take it lightly, but it's what works for you,
Yeah.
and doing what works and how you get through your life.
Well,
But
that's just it.
being
You can
being happy,
have,
being not held a prisoner, being you, like not afraid to be you,
yeah.
however that comes out.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you can have the same diagnosis and have a totally different experience. You might
Totally.
have some overlapping similarities, of course,
Yes.
because that's how you get diagnosed. But um,
Yes.
but overall though, it's happening to individuals. It's not happening the same way for everyone. Um,
Exactly. And you should not hide from it, because the more that you try and not let it, like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yes, you are fine. There is nothing wrong with you. You are fine. Just
yeah,
own it.
yeah,
Own it. And it's a game changer.
yeah. You just have to find ways to approach it differently. You have to get
Exactly.
creative.
You really do.
Um,
You really do. Yeah.
Another thing I liked was uh you said here that ADHDers are late bloomers. And so you said, okay, fine. I say we are also this. A represents adventurous, D represents driven, H hyper focused, and D dreamers. And I was like, yeah, that's sounds
Yes.
good to me.
I know. And that kind of like breakdown before my diagnosis, like I was just like, oh my gosh, like that is so more powerful than the typical breakdown. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to take a different spin on it.
Hmm.
And again, like being creative, I'm like, I made a t-shirt. So I'm like, yes, proud.
Yeah, why
So
not?
why not? Why not express yourself that way? Like just flip the script. Flip the
Yeah,
script.
I mean, it doesn't have to be your entire identity, but it is
No,
a part of you,
it
and
is a
some,
part of you.
right?
It
So,
is so
and
much.
it's a part of you that you didn't necessarily know for a long time that was even
Yeah,
there. So it's like getting to know
exactly.
this part
It's
of
like,
you.
hello.
Yeah.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
let's
all
be
right,
friends.
yeah, exactly. Let's work something
Let's
out
be
here
friends.
since we're gonna be
Yeah.
roommates for a while.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Oh,
roommates. Actually, that brings me to, oh my gosh, when my book was coming out, like just the feedback from you guys, from like people, from strangers, and that connection that resonates. I had this one lady call me her ADHD roommate. Well, I cried.
that's
I had no
awesome.
idea who she
Not that
was,
you
and
cried, but
I cried. I cried.
yeah.
And I was like, that is so endearing that
Hmm.
I kept that. And yeah, I'm going to create something with that.
Well, it's so
Yeah,
empowering and it's liberating when you're like, I'm not going to let this control or own me.
exactly.
I'm going to own it. And then
I'm going to own it.
in
Yeah.
turn, like you said, you have people that are like, oh, you're owning it. Oh, great, because this is happening to me, and it's nice
Yes,
that
I know.
somebody's putting themselves out there, you know.
I know. And I love that. And there is so much strength in numbers. So it's
Yeah.
like to just not be alone or feel alone. That's kind of where I kind of felt. I was like, okay, who am I? There's no one really that is like me that I know of.
hmm
Where are my people? Like,
yeah,
where are my people?
I
So
love it. You went searching for them with your
I
t-shirt. Where are
really
you
did. I'm
guys?
like an open book. Here we go.
Yep.
Putting it up. And wow, the people are coming.
Yes, it's great, you know, and I love your hustle, because
Thank
you,
you.
you've worked very hard at promoting, and you know, I picked up your book at Kohl's, and I was like, that is so
Yay.
cool. Like,
I
you
know.
know, I
I always go check in on my book babies. I'm like, it's just me checking in on my book babies.
just seeing how we're
Always
doing.
they love it.
Well, when
And
I
I'm like,
went
oh,
in,
we do a selfie.
when I went in to pick it up, you know, the guy was like, because I was like, I'm looking for the book by Stephanie Dontremont. He's like, oh, it's right here, and he was like excited to, you know, that, and
I'm so grateful for them.
and
So.
it's just nice because, you know, it's really fun to lift up the talent and the drive and stuff that we have here locally, you know.
So much talent.
Yeah, I mean, we've got
So much.
people, we have artists, we have people writing books, we've got business owners, you know, all
Yeah, it's
kinds of
like,
stuff.
don't be afraid to shine. Like,
Yeah,
don't be afraid to shine.
I think
Nope.
a lot of people are, truthfully.
I think so too.
I think,
And that's the thing, like, I know about you and me, it's impulsive,
yeah.
right? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna try this. If it doesn't work, I will try this.
Yep.
Whatever. So it's like you don't have time to kind of like, ooh, should I? Shouldn't I? No, I'm not one to live with regret.
Yeah.
So I would rather fail forward than live with regret. And that's like my motto for
Yeah.
sure.
No,
Boom.
I totally appreciate that, you know, and I think there comes a point in your life too, like, you know, I think people can relate. Like my 20s, I destroyed those. I mean, they were just a write-off, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
What?
and then, you know, well, I'm 38 now, so I'm approaching 40,
Lovely.
and there's
Maturing like a fine wine.
yes, indeed.
Yes.
You know, and there's certain things I look back on and I'm like, gee, I wish I had it together earlier. You know, I could have been
I know,
here
I
or
know.
there.
We could
Yeah,
easily go down that, but
so
then
easy. Yeah.
would it be authentically you then?
hmm
Probably not.
Yeah, I
This is
think
authentically you now, and this is
right.
your message now.
It
For sure.
I I liked this confession. I never really knew what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Oh, yeah, I'm still there.
Yeah.
I'm still there, but you kind of again flip the script of being. It's more
Mhm.
like becoming,
Yeah.
and it feels right. Like
Yes.
it feels right. There's not one thing. Like maybe back in the day when you were like, oh, here, you're going to be a carpenter for life. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Good for you. Wonderful. Like, wonderful. You're going to be a teacher for life. Wonderful. You do that.
Yes.
I don't think I could sit still enough to be that one thing. So, and again, like the wiring is like, maybe I need to be my own teacher. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like that's the beauty of this like ADHD
hmm
mind. Like a lot of ADHDers
hmm
are entrepreneurs
Yeah.
because there's so many thoughts, and it's like, I'm gonna try that. Why not?
I
Like,
I
you know,
did personally really relate to that, and I liked it because I think there's more people actually in this category than there
yes,
are who have a very linear like calling, you know,
yes. Like,
and
what is that? Let
which
me know.
is totally cool. Like you know, there are times where I wish I had it figured out like that, you know, but
Yeah.
I get it. Like it's like a jack of all trades and you don't know which one to focus on, you know, and so you're trying to find ways to just cram it all together to make it work.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
exactly. And you're kind of doing all the motions, and
yeah.
some work, and some you have to cut the ties, and it's
Mhm.
okay.
Yep.
But I think at the end of the day, in this one life, it's all about being happy. like
Yeah.
doing what you love.
Yep.
Like literally, that is gonna fuel you, and that's what you're gonna kind of like radiate with people around you and bring that out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you gotta go through the motions and figure it out. Don't get me wrong. Like don't, you have
Sure.
to
Yeah.
do the jobs that you don't like to get to what you want to get to and
Yeah.
like. But it's not being afraid to try,
Yeah.
I would say.
One passage here in your book that I wanted to touch on a bit, and you're people are going to look at this differently, from different angles, and some people might agree with it and other people might
Yes.
be in the camp that I'm in, which is, if you choose to be miserable, that's your choice, because you always have a choice. And
Yes.
it says here, you can choose to bring in the negative energy and it will literally suck the life out of you, or you could suck it up and radiate positive energy and see where life takes you. I could let life dictate my ADHD journey just from the things I have seen and read about it, or I could go on, and live it up and see and feel it for my own self and, trust the journey. And I really, really liked that because, like I said, it is different for everyone, and it is not to
Yes.
minimize or dismiss people's feelings and how they're dealing with maybe
Yeah.
their own diagnosis. But I believe that there comes a point, and it's different what that point is for people, but I do believe there comes a point where you're now making a decision to stay in sort of a victim mentality,
Yes. Yeah.
and I, I've had people kind of push back on that line of thinking where it's like, I don't care to be a victim of my circumstances. And it's not that I look at it from, oh, everyone should just be able to like snap out of it and get over it.
Yeah,
It's not that.
It's not a snap.
It's
No.
not that at all. It's just the
No.
fact that at some point, the world is turning with or without you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Time goes on.
yeah.
Time goes on, and you can stay stuck in that I suck mode, because
Yeah.
that's easy. That's
I
easy.
have
So
been there.
easy. Me too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. A lot of
It's
people are
easy.
there.
What's hard is getting out of it.
Yeah.
But there is light. There's
Yes.
always light.
I
And
believe
it starts
that.
with just changing one thought at a time. One
Yep.
thought at a time. One thought at a time.
Well, and
because your mind is powerful,
and I do believe that leaning on support is important. I know I've gone through serious bouts of depression where I couldn't even leave the house, and my husband would literally, pajamas and all, just be like, we need to go for a ride. You at least need to
Let's
get
just
out.
get out.
Just go for a drive, right? And literally, I would be in my pajamas, and that's all we would do. I wouldn't go in anywhere, nothing. I would just
just
get out of
the
that
scenery.
place,
Change the scenery. I hear you.
I think it's helpful to not get too closed off where you don't let people support you.
Definitely. Always reach out if it's someone you can trust. And you need a buddy system. You really do.
You do.
And you need to be held accountable. It's like, okay, putting on your grown-up pants. But that's how you grow. Right? You grow through what you go through. You really do.
It's true.
It's true.
And sometimes you almost have to get angry about it. And I'm so over this.
Enough.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
Sucks. I don't like my thoughts of who I'm being.
Yes.
Stop it. Take that, again, guilt off. You let it fall and you ask for help, or you accept doing the little things that'll get you a little bit further and not maybe complete. Well, yay, you've done great. Keep going.
Yes.
Right?
And
keep going.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but if I hit a snag, I tend to get real fixated on it, you know,
Oh yeah.
and just
Oh yeah.
and just kind of
Yeah, a
beat
little bit.
myself up. And then that loop of
Yeah, it keeps on playing. It's
yes.
like, oh, I don't know, I can't. Oh, stop it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I just kind of let it uh it's kind of a self-sabotage, you know.
Yes, it's an easy self-sabotage.
Oh yes.
Yes. It's like get out, like just get out of the environment that's
Hmm.
kind of like sucking the life out of you. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like get out in nature. Like that to me, like sunshine, the sea, like the ocean. Oh, like ocean therapy for me. I
Oh
love the
yes.
sea.
I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan of the ocean. I won't swim in it. I'm scared of the ocean.
I know it
Um,
could be scary.
but
There's
I
things
do
you
like
want to
to admire it from a safe distance.
Yep, nothing
Uh,
wrong.
yeah, no, it is good to kind of tap in to something that speaks
Just
to you.
literally get grounded. Yeah.
One thing I noticed throughout is you love color. You know, there's
I
so
do.
much color, like the rainbow. I love that each chapter has a different color like
Yes,
associated with it. And
I yeah, I
yeah,
love
and
colors.
of course, at this point, if people don't know you by now, the one thing they should know is you love magenta.
Oh
It's
my God,
everywhere. I
I mean, come on.
I was
Like I
gonna
feel
find something to wear that was close to magenta, but I don't
ah,
have anything, so
oh
I
no.
have to
Well,
work on
well,
it.
there's still
But
time. There's
I'm
still
just
time.
curious, why magenta? What's I know there's
I
meanings
know.
behind
It's
color.
so crazy. Again, you go in like, Google zone
Yeah.
and colors. Like, again, as an interior designer, I gravitate to colors, not necessarily painting my walls magenta, but
Yeah.
splashes. And for people, like when I was doing that, for people going in their homes, just seeing kind of what they gravitated to was just like so beautiful to see like that end result
Yeah.
because they couldn't see it. I could see it. I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a Christmas present for you. Like,
Yes.
so I loved that because everyone is different. And that's what colors do. All colors, if you think about it, you have a certain favorite color. Why?
Yes.
You have a certain favorite color. It makes you feel something. It makes you feel good. So
Yeah.
magenta for me, when I kind of Googled color theories and all kinds of things like that
Hmm.
and emotions, magenta came up as the universal color of love. I get
Oh, okay.
goosebumps. Just got
Well,
goosebumps.
yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, is that why? Like I love magenta. I'd be like a crow. Like I just stop at
And
magenta
something shiny.
and shiny things.
Yeah,
And
love it.
and knowing that, I'm like, whoa, that's powerful. And and I just think also when you dress, you know, it's kind of like dopamine dressing. Like, you know what I mean? You're gonna put on your
Yes.
favorite color, you're gonna own it.
Yep.
So I'm like, Mama wants magenta all day, every day.
Yes.
So
Why
I
not?
thought it's so authentically me. I mean, not everyone has their own favorite color, and that's wonderful. It tells a story. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Tell you, Google there,
I
Google it.
I do believe it. I love stuff like that.
Me too. Oh, I love it.
It's like I guess if I had a color that I was like really keen on, I love blues.
I
i-
knew you were gonna say blue. I
Blues.
knew it.
I love blues in the
I knew
like
it.
kind of in the oceany turquoisey
Turquoise.
area. Just that
Can't say that.
whole
Yeah, it's.
spectrum
I
of
love
blue.
those too.
And
It's
I
so
know blue's a
cheery,
common one, like, oh, everyone likes blue, but
but
there's
there's a reason.
certain blues
Yes,
that I like more
yes,
than
yeah, like shades and hues. I'm like, no, that's not the color I want. Like if I'm
yeah.
painting a wall, I'm like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's close. Nope, this one's it. Like it's
Yes.
like a millisecond of a hue of difference, but it's adding
Well,
those colors.
I convinced my husband because I kind of like he's the he carries out what's in my head. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how we function. So I see things
Nice.
in my head. He doesn't necessarily see it, but he's
Right.
learned to trust me.
Oh,
And,
that's beautiful.
yeah, and
Beautiful.
I went ahead and for the living room, I found this color and it's kind of like a teal. It was called Deep Dive, and it was just this beautiful, just blue green. Oh,
Like an oasis.
yes, I loved it. And we painted the
Beautiful.
living room that color, and he's like, "Are you
And didn't it
sure?"
just
And I'm like,
wake you right up?
I love it. I don't get
Ah,
me wrong, I neutral tones have their place, like
yes, they
for
have their
sure.
place. You need them to balance.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta
You
you
don't
gotta
want
reel
a
it in a
clown
little.
house. Yes.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I loved your take on color because I feel like you shouldn't be afraid of color. People are
You
afraid of
shouldn't.
it, they're like, "Oh, I
I
can't do
know. It's
that." It's like,
color.
why not? Why can't you?
Why? Yeah. And the decomposed rainbow, like, yeah, again, this is all me again with colors and theory, and I just love the meaning of things.
Yes.
Again, layers, like
Yep.
talking about layers and not labels, and everyone has a different color, really.
Yeah.
But if you think of a rainbow, we only see kind of the arc, the half, right?
Yes.
We do. But a rainbow is a whole. It's infinite, and
Mhm.
it's just so one of a kind. Like every rainbow that you're gonna see is one of a kind, just like the people are one of a kind. And I just thought bringing that whole picture together with just seeing half of yourself. Sometimes we look in the mirror, we just see half, we just see
Yeah.
a reflection. What's
Yep.
inside is what's important. So when I wanted to kind of connect that all together, I wanted to make it a whole.
It's a very
Infinite.
good
Infinite.
representation.
Thank you.
It
I
really is
love it.
because you can apply that, color theory, to
Exactly.
just about anything.
Yeah,
It's universal in that sense.
it
So
really is. Like
I
it's
I love your
I
take on it.
love.
Like
Thank you.
like
I
let's look
love
at it as
colors.
color,
So colors.
because life isn't really that black and white.
It
It's
isn't.
it's
Just
lots
black
of
and white.
lots of
Mix them up.
color, lots of, yeah, and
Yeah.
some, I look at it too, like in relationships, color theory, you have some that are going to complement each other and some are going to
Yeah.
clash, and
Yeah. That's
um
right.
but there are ways to make color work, like, so it
There
just,
are. I
I love your
know.
take on it. I love
Thank
that.
you.
So I guess as a household then, because um you had your diagnosis, so did your daughter ultimately get diagnosed?
Yep. Flying
So
colors too.
yeah, she passed the
Aced it.
test.
Aced it.
So at home, I guess, uh what do you do to kind of help keep
I
everything
know.
level, like
I
it?
know. Oh, some days are
I'm sure there's
exhausting,
some
but then
moms out there that are dying to know some of
I
your
know you
tricks and tips.
really it's patience. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have any a lot like a while ago. Like it
Yeah.
was just an instant, "Whew, what is going on?" And it
Yeah.
was just like that's not fair because
Mhm.
what if she would hear that like at school, always kind of like, what is wrong? What is going on? Like what?
Mhm.
And it's not that. It just is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really digging down and finding that patience because it's a different wiring and there's gonna be things that are done differently
Yeah.
than the others. So one thing, stop comparing. I know it's easy
Oh,
to
that's a good
compare.
one though.
Golly gee. I catch myself and I'm like,
Yep.
whoa, stop it. Not your story, their story.
Yeah.
So stop comparing. Like the only person that you need to compare yourself is you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
I
just
think
kind
that,
of
when you say that, that the only person you need to compare yourself is to you, I think where people struggle, especially with a diagnosis of a mental illness in particular, um, you're struggling with your identity. So
yeah,
you're comparing yourself to who, because you're not sure who you are at
who
that
you
point.
are. I
Like,
know.
so then
Yeah.
you're trying to
You have to
find,
find yourself
yeah. And so
and accept yourself.
I've struggled with that, I would say, for a long time, where you start comparing yourself to other people because you don't have any kind of, you're trying to create a frame of reference, and because you don't have it like you
anything to
haven't
go
figured it
by.
out with yourself
Yeah,
yet,
yeah.
so getting to know yourself is kind of scary, but
It's super scary.
also very liberating, and exciting when you start finding out these little bits of yourself that you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
that's me,
Exactly. And like embrace these little wins.
yeah,
Like you don't need to like a big old win here. You just like, oh, huh. I like going to the shore by myself. Yay.
yeah.
That's how I recharge.
That's my
I
thing.
don't need a whole squad. Like
Mhm.
you do you, boo. I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
good.
doing my thing.
I'm doing my thing. Like I don't need, like I don't care. Like I don't get me wrong. I
Mm,
love a good party
yeah,
or like a social event.
I would
Thank
not
you,
have
COVID.
guessed. I would not have guessed that.
I mean, really,
You're the
but
life of the party.
it also like drains me too. So I
Sure.
need to
Yeah.
recharge and just alone time. Like let
Yeah.
me be.
I think
Let me be.
there's
Like I am the best of both worlds.
I
Like
think
I love
there's
it.
this misconception that if you're, you know, extroverted on the surface, that you're just like that all the time. That
Exactly.
you don't need
No.
to recharge. People kind of
Woo.
associate being an extrovert with, I get all my energy from the social interaction, and that's not necessarily true. You can kind of be
No.
both.
Yeah, totally. Totally
Yeah.
both, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh my.
Mhm.
So how has this journey been since you published the book? Like, how
Oh
you
my
said
gosh.
people have been relating to you and reaching out to you. So,
It's
how is that going? Like, it's
I'm
exciting.
no good. I'm no good with compliments. Like I will cry at the drop of a I am so like I'm so
Y-
proud of you. I'm like boof. Like I'm no good.
Guilty.
I'm like,
I have the
oh, thank
waterproof
you.
mascara on just in
Yeah,
case.
I'm
I don't.
like, oh my gosh. And just hearing how it resonates differently with everyone, or that, like you said, like, wow, like, your diagnosis, but then some women were like, because of you, I set up an appointment to get tested. And I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
that is so gratifying
Sure.
and
Yeah.
surreal. And it's like, I'm just me. Like, this is just my, like, I'm not an expert. I am just
No.
living my life, discovering things on
Yeah.
the daily.
Yep.
And I'm hoping to help open your eyes to
Yeah.
just be authentically you. And if you don't know yet, maybe there's a reason, maybe there's something
Sure.
missing, maybe
Yeah.
there's something to do, but
It's
we're all here together. Like, I just think there's so much strength in numbers. And to hear that feedback, it's been a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, of
It's
course.
been, oh, my mama.
Well,
Wow.
and it's it's good to feel that connection because, I
I
can.
love connections.
Yes, me too. I am a huge fan.
I feed off connections. I
And
love it.
well,
I
I
love
guess I'm
it.
learning to love it. It's taken me some time, but
Right?
when you
Yeah.
put yourself out there,
Mm.
little by little, you're like, everything starts to kind of form this chain reaction, and you're like, oh, this is cool. What if I go a little bit further and a
I
little bit further?
know. It's like, and the doors keep opening, and you're
Yeah.
like,
It,
it's like, whoa.
I am
What
kind of
do
currently in that space right now where
Yeah.
I'm
Big.
getting out of my shell and like reaching out to people. Like, I prior to this, I don't know you, right? But
I
I'm like, you know what? I love her book,
know a
and
lot of
I'm gonna
people.
go
I'm like,
read it.
who
And
are you?
yeah,
So happy to meet you.
yes. Well, that's the thing. You meet people, and when you kind of, pull yourself out of your head, right?
Yes.
And say like, I'm gonna go and make a point to connect with people. And at the end of the
Yeah,
day, the worst thing they can say is no. That's it.
exactly.
That's it.
Wow.
You
Yep.
know,
Big deal. Yep.
yeah. It's
Exactly.
but it is kind of like jumping in the deep end a little bit
Oh, it's
without your
uncharted.
floaties,
It's
it's
so
like, oh no.
uncharted. It's unreal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, let me think here. If you had, um, I guess, a word of advice to women in particular, because I feel like women downplay a lot about themselves. I
Yes.
feel like we're more afraid to shine. We
Mhm.
tend to downplay symptoms, and feel like we just kind of have to take the weight of the world
Yeah, and just do
sometimes.
the motions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially and with Mother's Day coming around the corner, moms, I think they take on a lot, and then they try to just kind of
do it all.
put on their, Showtime face and,
Yes.
face the world.
Yeah.
And so, I guess how do you kind of get yourself ready for your day? Like when you're like, I guess what would be some encouraging words to the ladies, especially the moms out there that are maybe beating themselves up, you know,
I know.
unnecessarily,
I
most,
know. I know. It again, I feel it's this guilt.
yeah.
It kind of infiltrates and it builds. And if
Mhm.
you don't address it, it comes like a emotional volcano,
Yeah.
let's just say.
Yeah.
So we tend to wear so many hats, and we think everything needs to be perfect. Oh
Mhm.
my god, police. Like if you can give yourself permission to just be in that moment and enjoy it,
Mhm.
and not like I'm not a planner, so I'm not gonna plan things. So I'm like
Yeah.
not pre-planning how I'm gonna feel. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to feel how I want to feel in that moment of time. And if you can give yourself permission to just be perfectly imperfect at
Mhm.
things in life,
Yeah.
and stop comparing yourself to the mother of the year, or the one that's at, the PTA meeting, or it's
Yeah.
bringing, that beautiful cake that's all like, yeah, for the children. It's like,
Mhm.
no, like you have your own special strengths,
Yeah.
like find them. Don't like, I mean, take kind of a look at things that interest you, and do that, but don't kind of mimic someone to just feel better about yourself, because that's not really you, right?
Yeah.
That's not really you.
And
So kind of show up as you,
yes,
literally accepting all your flaws, because you're like floss 'em.
blossom.
And
Ah,
like
love it.
really,
Love it.
really, and again, it's acceptance. And
Yeah.
I think it comes from your outside matching your inside, and that is the biggest balance, I think, that we work on. Like
Mhm.
we work on ourselves as this work in progress, literally
Yeah.
for life. We're going to go through stages,
Mhm.
like holy moly. And acceptance that you can't do everything perfect is a game changer.
Yeah.
And I think if you need to ask for the help, ask for the help.
Yeah,
Like
I think
ask for the help.
people, yeah, I think there's this feeling that, you're just supposed to be able to
Do
magically
it
do it
all.
all on your
No,
own.
you're going to
Yeah.
get burnt. And then you're no help to anyone.
Mhm.
So literally you have to fill your cup.
Yeah.
Now, it could be with wine,
Yeah.
it could be with
We
water.
do, yeah.
No
No, but
judgment.
nobody needs to know what's in the cup. They
Nobody
just
needs to know.
I love that.
But yeah, it's
It's
really,
I
yeah, it's
I
fun.
think too with parenting now, I don't personally have children. So I'm coming from a perspective of, trying to kind of put myself in those shoes. But
Right.
um I really do think in this day and age, I feel like social media has played a very
Oh,
toxic role in the amount of
definitely
guilt and comparison
super toxic
that
because it's
parents are taking
fake.
on, right?
Yeah.
You have people judging each other's parenting style,
Ugh.
all of this
You
stuff.
can't hide. That's the
Yeah.
thing. You can't hide. You're like you're tracked.
Yeah.
Really.
Everyone's now
You
got a
can't
say
hide.
on how you're raising your child,
Yeah,
apparently, and it's
exactly.
it's
I
tough
know.
because when you
It's
feel like you're
definitely
getting it
tough.
from all angles, you're just
Yeah,
like, wow.
I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's to find the balance, and you
Hmm.
need that balance.
Yeah.
You really do. You need to find that connect with your mind, body, and soul. It
Hmm.
really goes hand in hand. It
Yeah.
really does.
I think you just have to be, kind of like you kind of go through in your, you just have to be willing to go through the journey. You
You do.
you just
really
have
do.
to be willing to hang on for the ride and go
Yeah,
through it, you know?
yeah, because it's happening. Life is
Yep.
happening to you, right? So it's like, why? Why is it happening this way? Like, why?
Mhm.
There's a reason. There's a
Yeah.
reason. It's like you can sweep it under the rug all you want, but
Oh, yeah,
it's
I tried that.
gonna keep coming back and be like,
It does,
right? And be
yeah.
like, hey, something's nope, it's not right. You're not feeling good. What's going on? What's going on? Figure it
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's, just rip the Band-Aid off at the end
Yeah,
of the
rip
day.
the band-aid off.
Um, there
Mhm.
there comes a point where it's either you do it. I always tell my husband, I'm like, we can do this the hard way or the really hard way. There's
That's
those are your
good.
options, right? Like
I
there is no
know.
easy way
There's no
to
easy
navigate life,
way.
you know. So to me, it's
No.
the hard way or the really hard
Yeah,
way.
that's
Take your
right.
pick.
One or the other. Yep.
Either way, like we said earlier, you know, life is the world's going to keep turning with or
Yeah.
without you. And
Yeah.
you know, the stigma that's out there, I used to be um rather afraid to tell people
Of
like, oh,
course.
I live with bipolar disorder. That one tends to get people reeled back, kind of like, oh,
Whoa. It's
they
like,
don't even
whoa.
realize they're doing it. But I've seen it where it's like
Right.
the eyes kind of,
Yeah. It's
it's
like,
like, oh,
oh.
that has
And
happened to me.
yeah.
I thankfully I have a sense of humor. The stigma that's out there, um, I try not to get offended by it anymore.
I know.
It's
Yeah.
one of those things where it's just people don't understand. They don't understand.
Yeah.
And you know,
Until you're in it,
yeah.
you're on the outside. And okay, you're on the outside.
And how
You do
can,
you. Like
yeah,
you keep your comments to yourself.
you can't expect people to just come out of the gate and, you know, say something like, oh, I have ADHD or, oh, I have bipolar disorder, and just expect people to automatically
Oh,
understand what you're talking
exactly.
about. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. No.
it's
Yeah.
people are not in your head any more than you're in
No.
their head, right? And
No. Exactly.
it's,
You can't. Yeah.
yeah, unless you're going through it or, you know, you have someone close to you kind of going through it. And,
Yeah.
you know, if you're more of a detective type, like we were talking about,
Mhm.
where you're like, I
Mhm.
am going to get those answers,
Yes.
right? So you have to kind of actively seek it out. But if it's not
Yeah.
really affecting your life, well,
Then
there's no
yeah.
reason for you really to go
Go digging.
seeking it out. But
Yeah.
if we want people to understand, like I said, we can't just necessarily expect it just because we tell them what we have.
No. For
um,
sure.
you know, you have to be willing to talk about it
Yeah.
in general, like we're talking about it. And I,
Exactly. It's
I
starting that conversation.
yeah,
And like I said, everyone is different. And it's fascinating to hear the story. And yes, there's struggles with the story, but it's the outcome and
yes.
that journey that's coming forward out of this. Like you're gonna help people.
Well,
Like
and
that's the goal.
like I said at the beginning, I love the fact that this book talks just like you're talking right now. Like
I love
if
that.
so, you know, if you know, I'm hoping people you know, will, I feel like there's going to be plenty of people that can relate to what we're talking about right now. But even if they didn't get to watch the whole thing, the book is very much like talking to you right now. So
It's like I'm in your living room.
yes, you're here. I know it, the energy immediately just jumped off the page. And you know,
Oh, thank
it's
you.
great, it's real, it's relatable, it's not, you know, pretentious, it's not
Yeah,
kind
it's
of,
not like I'm not pretending to be an expert or a
yes,
scholar.
right.
It's just me.
There's a lot of
And these
people
are
out
my
there.
words.
there's I think there's a lot of people out there who are self-diagnosing a lot and not
Yeah.
necessarily going to a professional to get those
Yeah.
answers. And
Yes.
we have a lot of that going on. And I do believe that we should uh, normalize having a conversation about
Yeah.
mental illness, but I get a little bit hesitant to say we should just normalize mental illness, because
I know.
it's
Yeah.
it's not normal, you know.
It is not. It's
And
not
we all
linear.
have levels of, you know, for example, um, people will say, oh, I have anxiety. Well, we all have anxiety ridden
We
moments, but
definitely.
but is this anxiety completely disrupting your
Yeah.
life? That's the
Is it? Yeah.
difference, you know,
Exactly. That's the thing.
on
Is
a
it
regular
stopping
basis.
you?
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there is a difference between kind of the medical definition, a diagnosis versus, well, honestly, we all experience some form
Some
of
sort. Yeah.
trouble
Mhm.
with our mental health at some point in
For
time.
sure.
So
And you shouldn't, and we're human.
yeah,
And it's really part of our emotions.
yeah,
The goal is to not let them stay stuck.
yeah,
Like, you don't let them keep you stuck,
yeah.
be it in your head, in a place. No, like that's
I
where you need
I
to ask for help.
stayed exactly. I stayed stuck in the
Yeah.
feeling that I might have this. I
Yeah.
stayed stuck in Google. I stayed stuck
Yes.
in that place where it's
In
like,
the loop.
I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about, but at the end of the day, you know, you can't prescribe yourself
No, no, you
medications and
can't.
things like that. And there's different ways to go about treating stuff. But in a lot of cases, when you get a diagnosis like that, like medication is going to be part of that regimen,
Yeah,
like of
it just
taking care of
is.
yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
There's no shame in that. It's like you
yeah,
have a broken leg, you put on a cast.
yeah,
If your head is not like, you know,
it's,
100% balanced, you take something.
yeah,
It's no biggie.
I,
It's
I,
really no
uh,
biggie.
I did struggle with that in the beginning because I was somebody that like didn't even really take Advil, like,
Right.
and
Oh
then,
my.
and then it was
That
like, oh, by the
is.
way, so I was very hesitant about medication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then, you find the right doctor,
Yeah.
you
That's
have
so
to be willing
important.
to go through the trial of
Trust.
figuring out what's going to work for you. And then
Yes.
when you do figure that out, you're like, I cannot believe I lived my
I was
life
doing this
the way I did
without.
before.
Yes.
It's
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I just I love the fact that you went out and you seeked out the answers. And I can say from my own experience that I really wish people would get themselves out of the Google zone sooner,
Yes,
and not
exactly.
be afraid to actually go for it and just see a doctor and see what's
And
going on.
see where yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it's
It
easier
really
said than done.
is.
It's easier said than
It
done.
really is.
If it was
It
that easy,
is.
everyone would be doing it. I'm
Yep,
pretty sure.
that's right. Yep. But
Oh,
it's
wow.
the best explanation for your life. It's not
Yeah.
like not like you it's easy to make excuses. I get
Mhm.
it.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
done it.
Yep.
But this is an explanation. So it's like, okay, now what?
Well,
Let's go.
I think there's a fear of, if you get the answer, now
Yeah.
you have to hold yourself
It's like,
accountable
ooh,
to the
yeah,
answer.
and that is it. I've never held myself accountable. I'm like, what is that?
Mhm.
Okay. Like it was just easy. It's like, no, I suck. Okay, no, I'm just gonna quit. Nah, I'm good.
Yep.
And then it's not until I took CrossFit. Literally, it's like, accountable. Okay. I'm an
Yeah,
adult now.
that's like a swear word, like
I
accountable.
know, right?
Let's not
But
talk like that.
it's
And
yeah.
so it's really nice to kind of find a like-minded person that it's
Yes, it
like,
is.
it's like, yes, life, like you say, it can really suck. Like,
Life can suck.
it
Pretty
really
much.
does. And it's
Mhm.
not rainbows and butterflies. And that's not, I think, what we're talking about here.
No.
It's just the fact that at some point, you know, for me, it was like I had to get mad at myself to get happy. That was kind of what I had to do.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
And I
Yeah,
still
'cause
struggle with it.
you
It's,
have to go through these emotions.
yeah.
It's you just do.
Yep.
It's the only way to get out of it is go
Yep.
through it. It's like, ooh, it
It's,
sucks, but you do it.
it, yeah. And then you save yourself so much time and trouble when you do, you know, um, because
Exactly.
I think everyone reaches a point in life where you're like, life is too short for this crap. I,
Oh my gosh.
I don't have time for
Exactly.
this.
I ain't got time for this.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
like I got some
No.
living to do. So
Yeah, exactly. I
yeah.
want
Oh, I think we lost you for a minute.
I think we're
Oh,
frozen. Are
I
we
think
frozen?
I think just I think we're coming back.
Yep, we're
Hold
coming.
on. That's what editing's for. We'll
Yay.
we can fix some of those choppy bits. Um,
Yes.
but I'm just wondering because I don't want to keep you forever here, but
This is great. I love
y-
this. This is a great yarn.
oh,
Love it.
good. Okay.
We could just chat.
Perfect. Well, I guess wow, where do we go from here? I've been doing good. I was like, I'm gonna go off the cuff. I'm not gonna be too rigid.
We did good.
I think so. I think we
We did good. We are good together.
I love it. I love the synergy that's happening here. It's I'm just wondering, at this point, if you have any kind of words of wisdom as we kind of close the book, I guess.
Close the book.
Yeah. Um,
Good question.
or even better, where are you going next? Where is Stephanie going from here?
Oh my goodness. Well, like when you say, when you put yourself out there, no holds barred,
Yeah.
the doors open. So I am so grateful. I've been asked to go for a talk at the Yarmouth Library,
Oh, I love it.
April 27th. Go check, make sure.
Yes, yeah.
April 27th.
I hear you.
I'm
Yeah.
like, alert. Okay, good. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. There. Also, I've been asked to go speak at NSCC.
Ooh, nice. That's a
Like
good
in
place.
May.
Yeah.
In May. Yeah. I have to double check that day. I think it's early May. And then, oh my gosh, this is wicked. I was asked to go speak in the Annapolis Valley for pre-Mother's Day. So on Saturday, moms and mimosas. I'm like, yep, you had me at mimosas. Okay.
Oh, love it.
So, oh my empowerment, it is just, oh, I so need to recharge. Like my brain is just over the moon.
Yeah. It's like you
Oh, like, wow.
there's so much awesomeness going
Wow.
on that you're like, I don't
I
even
can't
can't contain it.
I can't contain it. Like it's whoa. Like
Yeah.
I never, I mean, I can visualize, but I never visualize this. I'm like, this is just me. I'm a little, fishing village. Just speaking my truth. That's all. If I can
Yeah.
help one person, wonderful.
Well, and on that note,
Wow.
we kind of touched on how social media can be toxic, but it can also
Yes.
be a great tool to,
Exactly.
because like you say, it's like, well, I'm just living in a small fishing town,
Yeah.
but with the power of technology, I can reach
Exactly.
thousands and thousands of people. Like,
Unreal. Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. There's
So
so much power
how
in
are
just being yourself.
family and friends, like, how's it going with everyone? Like, I imagine you have a nice cheering squad going on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I always, yes, I have my cheerleaders always. And like when I was like, doing the motions, writing the book, feeling all the feels and just
Yeah.
like, who am I to do this in that moment? Because
Yeah.
there was lots. I was like, oh my God, I'm just me. Okay. No, I don't know. This is Jess. And I was like, nope, stop. And they would just reel me back and be like, this needs to be said into the world.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure?
It's
Yes.
It's
So
scary because you are putting yourself out there like on a platter,
on a platter.
and you feel like a bit of a sitting duck,
Pretty much.
because anyone, if they want to, can kind of take their shot at you. And
yep.
it's
like, whew, I don't know if I have all my armor. I don't know, but I'm a Magenta, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I feel you on that. Like, like this podcast thing is kind of new, for example, and I'm more of a writer type, but I was like, I kind of enjoy this, connecting with people.
I love this. Yeah.
But
this would be a thing I would want to do too.
I got scared though, because you're like, okay, I'm not a professional. I just want to talk to people, and hopefully people will relate to it and want to kind of start conversation. but then you have the people that you're just waiting for that comment, or
Yeah.
or where somebody's hitting the laugh emoji, like,
Yeah.
thinking you're a joke and like stuff like
Yeah.
that. And
Like,
you're like,
well, you
oh
know
geez.
what? You're not my people.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's okay.
it's
It's free.
inevitable that you're not
Yeah.
gonna like, there's always gonna be naysayers out there, but
Yes.
I
Yeah.
I have discovered through this journey and, connecting with people, as I imagine you have, is that, there's more of the positive people than we think there
Yeah.
is,
Definitely. Exactly. For sure.
and when you're looking
And
for it, you
also,
see it everywhere. It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
right. And having yourself built up to receive, let's say, those trolls, like, is
mhm,
important too. So it's kind of like getting yourself ready and suited up,
yeah,
mind, body, and soul,
my
to be
rainbow
like,
lasers, like, here you
right on.
take it.
And just like, you can't stop me because I'm just being me. So if that's you, then you do you. But I don't think I need you in my corner. But
Yeah,
me,
yeah, it's
yeah, no.
yeah, and I think too, if you tend to be a people pleaser type,
Oh
that
gosh.
that fear of
Whew.
rejection is real,
Yeah.
you're
No. So over
you're like,
that.
I made
Mm-mm.
somebody upset. Like, I have to fix
Yeah.
it. You know,
No. Yeah. No. You can't please everyone, and if you
no,
try, it's gonna suck the life out of you. Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, you kind of, that's also stages of learning, but you learn to say no.
Yeah.
Yep.
It turns out it's a full sentence.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I've been learning to say it
Yeah.
more.
And no guilt. No
Yeah,
guilt. No. It's like, no.
it's hard to
Mm,
just say the word. Like, you find ways
right.
to skirt around the word no.
Yeah. It's like, well, maybe. Well, okay. Well, maybe. Oh, no.
It's been my experience with that it's just, it leaves an opening for people to still get that reluctant yes out of you.
Yes.
So
Right.
so I'm just like, sometimes you just got to lay down the no, like, you just
Yeah,
got to,
you do. You
no,
really
no
do. If it's
apologies, like, just
no,
no, no.
unacceptable, it's non-apologetic. No,
Yeah, no
good.
explanation. I don't need to give you an explanation as to why.
No,
uh well,
exactly.
maybe on some things, but like,
Maybe exactly. There's
within
different
reason.
different levels.
I don't
Yes.
want to promote just saying no to, like
No.
like a
No.
2-year-old, like, no, everything is no.
No.
We're
Exactly.
just,
No, but if it's something that's gonna drain you and you're gonna be like miserable doing it, or no,
yeah,
no, you don't need to please anyone. Like, no. Mhm.
yeah, it's you really can. And again, I think that comes from feeling a lack of self,
Yes,
because you're
right? Because you
relying
just,
on other
oh,
people
well,
to be
maybe they'll
happy
like
with
me
you.
more if I do this and
Yeah.
this and this and this. But who needs to like you? You need to like you. So at the
Hmm.
end of the day, if you're like a rag, hmm, there's no love there. You're just exhausted because you've just given it to everyone else except yourself.
Yeah, and then you wonder
No,
why your life is going the way that it is,
downwards.
and you're like,
Yeah,
hello, wake
exactly.
up, like, it's
Yeah,
you.
yeah, exactly. Again, reality check.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, so
Yeah,
many, so many.
so many, so many.
Thank you so much. This has been
Thank
really fun.
you.
I
I
love
love
it. I
this.
love
Awesome.
the book. Again, folks, it's Confessions of a Confident ADHD Mind, the colorful truth. And there is lots of color, figuratively and literally, in this book. And
Yes.
Stephanie, you did a great job. I just love how, like I said, how your voice comes through, and you just feel like you're having a conversation with a real person, and
Thank you.
it's not about giving all the answers to life and all this stuff.
No,
it's
not a
it's
clue.
just,
Still don't
hey,
know. Don't know.
like, this is me.
It's like a
And
pocket full of sunshine,
yeah, it
right?
is. I love it.
That's kind of like, it's a simple read, an easy read, a short read, and
Yes,
just a pocket full of sunshine.
I was able to read this book, and I am not, I used to be, but I'm not anymore. I'm not really a bookworm. But I
Yes.
managed to read the book in an hour and a half, and
It's an easy
100
read.
pages. I also, folks, I love the font size. That was a smart move. I don't know if that was
Right?
intentional, but I was like,
Yes,
oh, this is
because who
great.
wants a magnifying glass? Yeah,
Well,
no,
and it
no.
is kind of hard to keep my attention span for a long period of time.
Right?
So I
Yeah,
loved the fact that it felt like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Like the font's not so
yeah.
small that
It's
you're
just
like, I'm
little
never going to
snip.
get through this book.
No, it's little snippet chapters and little kooky chapter titles. Like
Yes,
it's just life.
I
It's just
loved it.
little bits of my life.
I do. I like that you kind of give a breather in each chapter. It's like, okay,
Yeah, thank
it's
you.
not a marathon. We're just taking little bits
Nope.
here and going
Yeah,
along. So even if you don't want to read it
exactly.
in one sitting, you feel like
Yeah, you
you
don't
can
have to.
cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time.
Yes, you sure can. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. And I hope you will all go out and check Stephanie's book. Check her out. Now you have a Instagram page? I know that.
Yes, I have
I
Instagram.
I
I'm
follow your
known as,
Instagram.
yay, I know I follow you too.
Love
I'm
it.
known as Touch of Sass, SAS 75.
Got it. Very good.
And then on Facebook, Touch of Sass. And sass, if people don't know, I mean, it's a thing.
Sass.
It's an adjective. I
Yeah.
feel like if you Google it, which, who doesn't? If you Google sass, SASS, it's lively, bold, and full of spirit. Go figure. However, my maiden name was Stephanie Ann Surratt. So sass.
Got it.
Although I am happily married, Stephanie Ann Dodgemo, sad. Not the same ring, kept my authentic roots, keeping my sass.
Love it. I love that you're keeping your sass. I think we need to embrace our sass.
Right? We
know,
all have sass. Like,
doesn't
let it
hurt
out.
to just,
Let it out.
yeah, we all have it. It's
Right?
there.
We
Gotta
do.
show it to
And
the world sometimes.
you gotta. Yeah, it's a skill. You can do it.
I love it.
Mhm.
Well, I would say if anyone can bring out the sass in somebody, I would say it is you. You definitely
Thank you.
your energy, I mean, honestly, you can't help but love it. And if someone is not loving your energy, I don't have words for that.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk about your book and to
I love
humor me. It's great, and I'm looking forward to putting this out into the universe and sharing all the love. So
I love the love.
very, very much.
Thank you as well.
Yes.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, don't blow away.
I will not. Away. Yeah, no, the weather's bad.
It's nasty.
Oh, but you know what? The Zoom gods held on for us. They did.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Bless them.
Yes.
Yay.
So take care.
Yes, you too. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.